audible? Kindly reply.
जी मैम.
Okay. Has anyone taken the screenshot of today's class, today's morning class? क्या आप लोगों में से किसी ने लिया है क्या अटेंडेंस का स्क्रीनशॉट? किसी ने भी नहीं लिया है अटेंडेंस का स्क्रीनशॉट?
यस मैम, आप जब बोले तभी क्लास एंड हो गई वो अचानक.
हाँ, वो एक्चुअली टाइम कंप्लीट हो रहा था, पर किसी ने स्टार्टिंग में भी क्लिक नहीं किया है क्या?
वैसे तो मैम ऐसे ही रहता है, स्नैपशॉट कहें तो अभी लेकर डालते हैं.
अच्छा. Anyways. आप लोगों में से कोई ना स्क्रीनशॉट ले लिया करिए ना क्लास के बीच में और उसको शेयर कर दीजिएगा ग्रुप पे ना.
ओके मैम.
ओके. So is the screen visible to all of you?
यस मैम.
Okay. So in today's class, we will discuss about classification and regression. So up till now, we have discussed so many times that we are mapping the input with the class labels. So this is how the classification will work. We'll first see the definition and then we will discuss what are the different metrics for classes. And then in tomorrow's class, I will discuss one of the algorithm for classification, that is decision tree. And today I will give you brief about the classification and what is regression. Okay, so today we will discuss the difference between these two and how these two work. So initially the classification, the goal of data classification is to organize and categorize the data into distinct classes. So whenever we are working with classification, there is always discrete set of classes. What we mean by discrete set of classes? Discrete set means there are disjoint number of classes. Suppose you have the input data and you have the output data. We have to map the input data into output data, and that output data is discrete. Like if you look at the diagram, there are some balls and we have some buckets here. And these are the 4 buckets. So we can say there is 4 class label. Okay, so this is the output and we have the 4 different class label and these are the input data. Okay, so what we need to do? We need to throw a ball with the proper color in a proper color bucket. Suppose the red ball should go to the red bucket, blue will go to the blue bucket, like this. Okay, so this is a kind of classification problem, that you have the input as a balls and buckets as your output labels. We have to match the correct input with the correct output label. Okay, so as you can see, these are the disjoint class label. Disjoint means they are discrete in number, like 1, 2, 3, 4. These are the 4 different class labels. And we have so many balls with us. So we have to throw it and we have to put into the proper bucket. So how we are throwing this? If you randomly throw it, they will not go to the proper bucket. Okay, so what we need to do, we need a classifier that could relate one input with the desired output value. Okay, so this is the task of classification. Okay, so model is first created based upon the data distribution. Okay, so we first create a model based upon the data distribution. How the data distribution means? The data distribution means how the data is distributed in a hyperplane. Okay, so like it's normally distributed, or it's whether it is skewed, or cortices in the data, like these. We analyze all the data related summary. What is the mean, median, mode of the data? Okay, so by using the data distribution, we'll create a model. And this model is used to classify the new data. Okay, so by throwing all these input balls, as I'm saying, that we have to match it. Okay, so we are preparing a model for the new data. Okay, and we are preparing that model by using the training data. So we train the model based upon the training data, but we are developing the model for a new data. Okay, and new data is your test data. So suppose you have developed a model based upon the data distribution, and then you have a model with you. Now a new data will come and you will check the model. A class will be predicted for new data, whether it is accurate for new data or not. So classification is equal to the prediction of the discrete and nominal values like class label, category labels, etc. And it's also called categorization because categorical variables can be used in classification, like true false values, yes no values. Like if you are talking about true false or yes no, it's two class problem. We have only two input, either yes or no, whatever may be the input data, but the output label is yes or no. The output data will be like true or false. So in which where only two class labels are there, we call it a two class problem. Okay, so only two classes are there, but we can generalize it with the multi classes also. So there are some, like if you are looking at this diagram, what you feel, there are 4 number of different classes. You have to classify input data into these 4 classes. So there is a difference between clustering and classification. So initially, what is prediction and estimation? Prediction and estimation are basically used to predict the value based upon the historical data or attribute. You have some known data with you, known data or the training data, and will predict the value for the future or unknown values. The most common approach used for prediction is your regression analysis. Because in the regression analysis, we are predicting the value based upon the past data. So it's a kind of prediction. To morning class, I have given you an example of time series. In the time series application, regression is an important tool to predict, because in the time series, what happened? You are predicting the value of future time based upon the previous times. Okay, so the regression analysis is an important concept. Then we have the supervised versus unsupervised classification. What we mean by supervised and unsupervised classification? If the class label is known to you, as I said, true, false, yes, no. If you know the class labels, that whatever may be the input data, we have to classify into these number of classes. It is known classes. The number of classes is known to you, and how many classes is there, it is also known to you. Then it is called supervised learning. And when you don't know the class label and when you don't know the number of classes, then it is called unsupervised classification, because you have to create the classes depending upon the similarity between the data. You look at the data distribution, and if the data is closer to each other, you make a cluster of that. So one cluster represent your one class. Okay, so this is unsupervised classification, and it is called clustering. So in the classification task, what we have, first we have the feature space. And what is a feature space? Capital X is your feature space, where small x is element of the capital X. Okay, so any instance small x is called instance, okay, and capital X is called your feature space, okay. So for any instance, X is the element of capital X from the feature space. What we are doing, X is simply an instance, or you, if you look at the particular matrix, so you can find a row can be described with the help of X. So a single row can be represented as a single instance. Okay. So a fixed set of classes like C is equals to C1, C2, Cn. These are the different class labels where you have to map the data. So what is the classification task? The classification task is you have to find a CX. You have to find a class for X. Okay? For any instance, for each row, you have to find a class that should be an element of the C, capital C. So we call it CX as a function whose domain is capital X and whose range is capital C. Okay. So what we are finding out? We are finding out, if you look at the matrix, if you look at the data set, in the data set, what happened? We have certain rows. Okay. So for each single row, you have to find out a class label. Okay. And that class label is represented by CX. And this CX will be the element of capital C. That CX will be either C1, C2 or Cn. Okay. So for the classification task is you have to determine what is your CX for given input X. Okay. So for any input X, we have to determine the CX value, and that CX value is the element of the class label set. इतना क्लियर है आप लोगों को?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
ओके भाई रिप्लाई करते रहिए आप लोग, ऐसा नहीं चलेगा कि आप लोगों ने म्यूट कर दिया खाली, है ना, इसलिए मैंने किसी को भी अनम्यूट नहीं किया म्यूट नहीं कर रही हूँ ताकि आप लोग अनम्यूट करके बोल सकें बीच में. So this is the classification task. Same है. So now given a set of the training example D. So if you have so many training example, like you have so many X, okay. So for each and every X, you have to determine the corresponding CX value, okay. And that CX value will lie in D, okay. And this is called consistency. This is the classification, like HX is your hypothesized classification function, which will able to determine all the class label for given X. मतलब सारे इनपुट के लिए आपको क्या है, एक क्लास लेबल फाइंड आउट कर पाएंगे, ठीक है. तो वो जो आपका फंक्शन होगा that is HX, the hypothesized classification function, okay. And if when we call this function is consistent, this function will be consistent only if it is able to correctly define your corresponding class label. So this is one of the example. So like we have a feature space. The feature space, we have the value of X like size, color and shapes, okay. And we have the different values of all these, like size is small, medium, large, color is red, blue and green, and shape is square, circle and triangle. And we have only two classes, either positive or negative, okay. So this is the capital X and these are the values of small x. So if we take a small x, what will be the value? Suppose first row will take the value of X is size is small, the color is red, the shape is circle and value of class is positive. So this is the first instance and the class label is positive. Suppose now you have to generate a hypothesized function. Now the generated function is taken as if the circle is present, then the class label should be positive. And if the color is red, the class label is positive. Now we have to check it whether each time the circle is occurred into the rows, it results into the positive or not. Okay. So if you look at this, the first two rows and the fourth row, the circle is occurred, but the class level at first two times is positive and the last time it is negative. So we cannot say this hypothesis is correct or not. Okay. The next is red tends to positive, means whenever the red color will occur, it is positive or not. So first two times when red color is appear, it is positive class label. But the third time red is appear, the class label is negative. So we have generated two classifier, but two times they are misclassified the data. Okay. So many times when you are generating the hypothesis, it can be consistent with the training data. Okay, but it should be correctly classify the data. And sometimes we have the bias also. Any criteria other than consistency with the training data that is used to select the hypothesis is called biasness. Okay, so most of the time it's happened, bias is there, and with the by using or by the effect of the bias, the hypothesis is wrongly chosen. So for that purpose, if you choose the hypothesis, you have to measure it, whether they are accurate or not, whatever function you have chosen, whether they are accurate or not. For that, you have to measure the classification accuracy. So classification accuracy is the percentage of the instance classified correctly. Okay. So it is measured on the independent test data. So suppose you have generated a hypothesis by using the training data. Now you have to test with the test data. If all the instances are correctly classified, the classifier accuracy will be the 100%. Or how many instances will be correctly? Suppose out of 10, 8 instances are correctly classified. Then we can say the classifier accuracy is 80%. Then we have the efficiency issues also, like training time and testing times is also has to be undertaken. The training time is the efficiency of training algorithm, and testing time is the efficiency of subsequent classification. So we have to take care of these two issues also. And the last one is the generalization. So generalization is basically if you can generalize your classifier. Means it is general to correctly classify the instance not in the training set. Means they are correctly classify other data like test data. Then we called it's a general hypothesis. And if it is not able to classify, then we called it consistent hypothesis because it's only classify the training data, not able to classify the test data. So we have the 3-step process for the classification. First one is model construction. Second one is model evaluation. And the third one is use of the model. First one is the learning, where you take the input and the class label. Second one is model evaluation. You generate a model based upon the training data in first phase. You generate a complete model. Then you check the accuracy. And after checking the accuracy, you use the model for the test data. So like suppose this is your training data where we have the input as name, income, and age. Okay. And what are the class labels? Credit rating is your class label. And we have only binary class labels like bad and good. So bad and good credit rating will depend upon these 3 feature vectors. So this is a feature vector. Name, income, and age is a feature space. And each and every row will act as a small x value. Have to find out relevant cx value. And that cx will be either bad or either bad or good. So in the classification algorithm, we provide this training data. So this training, if you look at this training data, what you able to find that this training data is a combination of 2 parts. And what are these 2 parts? What is the combination? first one is the instances. First one is the instances and the second one is the class label. So in every training data is a combination of two values. Like this is capital X value, which is a combination of three values like name, income, and age. And the second partition of the training set is your class label. That is credit rating, either good or bad. So training data is always a combination of these two. What happened when you supply your model to the training data? They, based upon the class label, they try to minimize the error and train the model. So suppose if the income is high or age is greater than 30, then credit rating is good. So this is a rule generated by the classifier. If the income is high or the age is greater than 30, then the credit rating is good. Now we have to judge the performance of this model. Okay, so for this, we have to evaluate how accurate this model is. So this is our generated model. Income is high or age is greater than 30, then credit rating is good. So to judge the accuracy of the model, we'll test this on the testing data. Okay, so we'll check for those rows where the income is high. So for the first one, for the second row, look at the second row and the name is Jane. The income is high, but the age is less than 30 and the credit rating is bad. Actually, for depending upon the rule, the credit rating should be good, but it is bad. While for the third value, third row, where income is high, the age is greater than 40, the credit rating is good. So we can say, we can judge our performance based upon the test data. If you judge the performance based upon the test data, then a new data will arrive and you can recognize whether the credit rating is good or bad. So for that purpose, if you look at this, as I told you, one row is correctly classified or is there. So we can take any of the condition, either income is high or the age is greater than 30. Okay. So you can say that one row is correctly classified and one row is misclassified. So we can say the model accuracy is 50%. So we have generated a model and its accuracy is 50%. Like if a new data arises, we have to check what is the use of this classification model. Is basically to use the new data classification. Now the new data comes and the income is given high, the age is 30 to 40%, and you have to give the credit rating. So simply we can give the credit rating is good. So we have so many classification methods: the K nearest neighbor, decision tree, induction, Bayesian classifier, neural network, support vector, association rule, genetic algorithm, many more. So in your this topic, in this unit, I will cover the K nearest neighbor, decision tree, and Bayesian classifier in upcoming classes. Okay. So how we'll evaluate the model? For the evaluation the model, we have a training set. Training set are basically used to build the initial model. And then we have the test data. Test data is used to test the accuracy of the model. It's basically you have developed the initial model, whether this initial model is overfitted or underfitted. Then these types of things are being tested by using the test data. And then we have the evaluation set. That evaluation set is basically new data, which is this is used when the classifier is completely developed and tested, and then this can be used for a new data classification. Now reading too much into the training data, it is called overfitting. As I've told you, if you if your classifier able to fit all the values present into the input data, then usually the model will be overfitted. Because what happened, you are trying to model a complete instances. You are trying to model the complete instances, all the values which is present into the data set. Then it is called overfitting. Okay, so usually when the overfitting occurs, if we are working with decision tree, what we do, we just remove some of the branches of the tree. And if we are working with some other algorithm, so then we only take care. Suppose we are working with k nearest neighbors, then we only consider those neighbors which are usually appropriate for developing the model. So whenever your data will give you much more accuracy in the training set, then it is called overfitting of the data. And evaluation set is used for the final performance evaluation. New data is used for the final performance. And insufficient data to divide into 3 disjoint subset. This validation techniques play a major role, and we have so many different types of validation. Here I'm discussing the cross validation and bootstrap validation. So in the cross validation, what happened? We are dividing the data into the number of folds. Like from this diagram, it will be clear. Suppose this is your data set. If you're talking, sometimes we'll do 3-fold cross validation, sometimes we'll do 5-fold, 10 folds. Okay, so how many folds you want to do the validation? You have to divide your data sets into that number of parts. Okay, so like you divide the data into 5 different parts. So in fold one part is taken as test data, and the remaining 4 part will be taken as the train set. Now in fold 2, we'll take second part as a test set and rest of the training set. Fold 3, third part will be taken as test set and rest is the training set. So in the similar way, 5-fold, each and every time one partition of that data set will be taken as test data and rest of the partition will be taken as the train data. Why we are doing this kind of validation? To validate the classifier. Suppose you have just taken a single part of validation. So suppose you have sequentially divided your data set, like from suppose 100 rows are there in a data set, you taken 1 to 80 rows as a training set and last 20% of the data as a test set, and you developed a classifier. But it may be possible that this will not be appropriate. But if we are doing the validation process, then it will validate your classifier, that it will available and it will accurate for every partition of the data. So in this manner, 5-fold cross validations are available. But these type of technique is not suitable in time series data. Okay, as I told in the morning class also, that analyzing the data is very important. So suppose if you are working in time series domain or then in a sequential data domain, where one data is linked with the previous data, then you cannot divide the data into folds. Because if you divide the data into the folds, the sequence of the data will change and that will result in an inaccurate model. So we should not do such type of validation in these type of domain. Understanding of the problem domain is very important part. So these type of validation is possible in each and every time, like image processing or you can say searching techniques and all these kind of application. 5-fold validation, 3-fold definition validations is valid. Then we have the bootstrap validation. In a bootstrap validation, it's a sampling process of replacement. In this, what we do, we'll do the samples of the data and we randomly select the data. Okay, we randomly pick the data and then we randomly pick the data, and based upon the selection, the test data is also, the remaining instances will be taken as your test data. and the selected data will be considered as your original data. Okay. So this is your bootstrap validation, where you divided the data into samples and you randomly pick that. So how many instances should be in test data? So probability of not getting picked in one sample is 1 minus 1 by n. It means if you are partitioning the data into n number of samples, then the probability of not getting picked, 1 is your complete data set and minus 1 by n, 1th, this is a probability of not getting selected into the samples. Okay. So for measuring the effectiveness of the classification model, we have to generate a confusion matrix also. Confusion matrix are basically where we have the actual classes and the false classes also. Like 2 is the true class and F is the false class. Okay, and this is a total class. Suppose 18 is a correct classification and 2 is a false classification. Like if we taken as true, false, like the combination of these two is known as confusion matrix. And the total value is 20 here. That 3 plus 18, 3 plus 15 is equals to 18. And then we take the row sum and the column sum. Okay, so this is the rate. So overall correct classification rate is, so overall correct classification means you want to true classify, then the classification is true. So this is a true classification. If you want to classify false, then it is false classified. Then it is also, but suppose this is the possibility. Where is the misclassification happens? Suppose you want to classify as a true, but it gives you a result as false. So this is a misclassification. Okay. So whenever both the true values are there, it is true classification. Whenever there are both the false value, it is false classification. But if you want to classify as a false, but it gives you a true result, this is misclassification. Like 3 is misclassification. And you want to get a true result, but you are getting false result, this is also misclassification, and that is true. So here the negative classes, sometimes there are the problems where you have to take care of the negative classification also. For those application, we are generating the confusion matrix for that. Okay, so overall classification is 18 plus 15 divided by 13, 87%. And the correct classification rate for T is 18 divided by 20, because true classification total value is 20. So we divide 18 by 20, 90%. Given F, correct classification rate is 15 divided by 80. It's 83%. So these are the model accuracy. So this is the same written here: true positive, false negative, false positive, true negative. So this was the concept. And here is the accuracy. Accuracy is true positive plus true negative divided by the all. Here we are calculating the correct classification rate is called your accuracy. Okay, and what is the error rate? 1 minus accuracy is called the error rate. So this is the accuracy and error rate of the classification. And we have other matrices also to evaluate the classification, that is precision and recall. Recalls are actually number of instances actually positive and the number of instances actually negative. So these are the formula for precisions and recalls. And then we can calculate the F score by using the precision and recall value. I think only 5 minutes is remaining. I will discuss regression in the next class. So actually the basic difference between the classification and regression is that classification is applied to only those problems where the class level are discrete, disjoint class levels. And regression is applied to those problems where the output levels are continuous values. continuous values, as I told, one value is dependent on the another value. So there is a continuous combination of the values. So where we use regression, and if the class levels are disjoint to each other and separate to each other, then we use classification. Is there any query? If you want to ask, you can ask.
And what is the benefit of recall? Whenever we have computed the accuracy from the concept.
Ajay, I'm not getting your voice.
Ma'am, he is asking what is the benefit of recall?
What is the difference between precision and recall? Is it the question?
What is the benefit of recall?
Benefits of
Benefit of recall.
Actually, these two matrices are used in the application domain of recommender system. Okay, so when you are working with recommender systems or like such type of domains, like recommender system is a very good examples for that, in which you are taking the precisions and recalls values, and recalls are basically those. Suppose you train the data and how accurately it's recalling to classify that data. So this is the precision and recall concepts. Is it clear, or I should?
Yeah, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Okay.
Yes, much more.
Ma'am,
Actually,
which class?
Matrices are basically what every time when you are using the classification, you cannot apply the same accuracy measure for each and every classification. It always depend upon the application domain. As I told you, precision and recall cannot be used in general classification examples. They are very a problem domain oriented. As I told, in the recommender system, we are usually find out the precisions and recalls values, how the true positive and true negative values, and how they are related to each other. So it's a very one good example given in the books is the persons who are buying tea and coffee. Like there are some persons who are, I think meeting will end soon. I will explain you this example with the help of this example. So it will be much more clear to you. I will
Okay, ma'am. I got it. I got it, ma'am.
Okay.
Ma'am, I have one query.
Somebody, yes.
Ma'am, which classifier is good? Having more precise value or having more recall value?
Which classifier is good?
Yes, ma'am. Having more precision value or having more recall value?
Actually, for that purpose, you have to calculate the F score also, na? That should be the trade-off between the precision and recall. You cannot say if you are having a good precision or good recall, that could be a good classifier. I think the F score value is much more important. And sometimes it depends, we have to choose a trade-off between the precision and recall also. This may be a possibility also.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. Is there anything else? So, can I, may I know in which area you are working? Like, have you planned for a particular domain or something like that?
Actually, ma'am, previously I have worked with SVM.
Support vector
machine.
Okay.
So I am planning for doing the same.
Okay, and what about the rest?
I'm language processing is my plan.
Okay, you are working in language processing. And what about Hena Singh?